Actually,
Yeah,
so.
awesome. Well, let's go into, what's your next one? Debt?
Debt, yeah, talking about debt. So yeah, debt is also another tricky subject that that people are a little touchy about talking about, but I love that we're going to be able to touch on this today. So there are two types of debt that I think about. There's debt that is good, or at least okay, maybe is a better term or a term that I would be more comfortable with using, and then like bad debt, specifically debt that is not helpful, that is actually putting people in a bad financial position. And a couple examples of that with good debt would be like necessary car loans. So say somebody didn't have money saved up for a car, and the car goes out, and they're like, man, we have to get a car. We just can't survive on, one car, or it's their only car potentially. So necessary car loans are one that I think is an example of okay debt. Also a mortgage, definitely. I'm not one who
is kind of tough.
who is pro 100% cash down on a house, especially in this type of market. Man, totally. Talking about trading whips for scorpions. Thinking about putting 100%.
Yeah, when I saw your notes on okay debt or good debt, I was thinking too about really low interest debt where you have budgeted out what you can spend month to month on that particular debt. And often it would be on a mortgage or on an auto loan or something of that nature. But I would also say that strategy, it's more of a strategy where you need some ability or knowledge regarding finances. So for a lot of people it wouldn't really be good unless you're really budgeting, you're within your framework of your budget, you're thinking about strategies for maximizing low interest rates or things like that. But I do think I think Dave Ramsey's deal about paying off debt, even though it might not be like the best strategic way, like that debt snowball of paying off the littlest one first, there is a kind of a psychology behind it where you're making progress, you're paying it off.
Yeah, I love that. And actually one of the fields that people are trying to advance in finance right now is the field of behavioral finance. How do people behave about their money? Because there's so much good financial knowledge out there in the world today. There's so many resources that people can go to gain financial knowledge, and oftentimes people have begun to see that it's really behavior and not knowledge that's driving people's financial position. And so that snowball, I think, is absolutely one of those behavioral things that people can, that's really helpful in helping them to be able to pay off debt and to win that battle.
So. Yeah, because it can really bury people if they're not prepared for it. And
absolutely, it can snowball the other way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, what about related to debt would be credit and credit cards?
Yeah.
What's your thought on Christians' use of credit cards?
Yeah, for sure. I think credit cards are okay, and once again, this is, I think, a behavior thing too. It depends on what you know about yourself and how you can use a credit card. Credit card interest rates are very high, and like you mentioned, interest rates are one of the things that you really want to consider when you think about debt. So interest can make debt significantly increase, and credit card companies are known for being very predatory, very high interest rates. Your debt significantly increases. It's just one of those debts that you really, as long as you can pay for the things that you're putting on your credit card, should be avoided. And I think can really put you in a bad financial position if you continue to utilize it. So I'm okay with using credit cards as long as people pay them off from month to month and don't accrue the interest that's on the credit card.
That's kind of the strategy we've had. We put regular recurring bills on a cashback credit card, and we pay them every month, zero balance every month. And part of the reason we started doing that is because when we went to buy a home the last time, my credit score wasn't low, but it wasn't high either.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's because we haven't had credit cards for over decades.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a chance to build up my credit score. It's kind of wonky the way it works. If you pay your bills regularly, I think you should have a good credit score. That's not always the way it works. So credit in itself, while not necessarily, not always a good thing, can be helpful in terms of mortgages and auto loans and things like that.
Absolutely, I agree. And a couple of things that can help to increase your credit, like you said, are paying your bills on time, making sure that you're paying everything off on time. It can also depend on the length of accounts that you've had open. So how long have you had your credit cards with that company? And then it can also depend on inquiries that you have against your credit. So if somebody is, Equifax, TransUnion, somebody steals your identity and they have to put out a check against you, that's something that can negatively affect your credit score for a certain creative time. So those are things that people
Great.
should think about when it comes to credit and how maybe they can build it or increase that. So
good. Anything else you want to say on debt?
I think you already plugged Dave Ramsey. I think he has some great resources that are really helpful in regarding debt. He's not my favorite person when it comes to investing. I think maybe there's some other ways that maybe I would encourage people to think about investing. But debt, I think his material is incredible and can really help people get out of that struggle. So
let's go to